called Toastmaster Akshayan. Toastmaster Akshayan, curious me and a series set for disposal. Curious me and a series set for a disposal. Toastmaster Akshayan.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rajeshwari and Toastmaster Kumaravel. Very good morning, one and all. Uh, it started with a list that I set out to brainstorm about. Um, all it was a simple act of writing down all the things I had once loved but left behind, which was music production, singing, playing the guitar, and writing and filmmaking. And seeing those words on paper felt like unearthing a long buried version of myself, one that had always existed but had been overshadowed by life, responsibilities, and the rigid structure of a 9 to 5. Um, but looking at that list, I realized that these weren't just random hobbies. There was a common thread running through all of them. Um, and as I traced that thread backward, I found myself landing in the very foundation of my creative journey, which is my childhood. Um, I was lucky, very frankly speaking, because music was always around me, and my parents had an impeccable taste introducing me to a world of melodies that shaped my listening habits early on. And Colonial Cousins was my favorite as a third grader. They were a band, they were a fusion band of Indian and Western sounds that captivated me. And from there, my personal library grew to Euphoria, Strings, Shankar Ehsaan Lai, Yanni, and countless others. Music just wasn't something I listened to, it was something I studied, absorbed, and uh, I felt deeply about it. And then there was my father. He played the harmonium effortlessly without much training, and his fingers gliding across the keys as he brought melodies to life. It was a sight to see for us. He had formally learned music theory in Indian system, which meant he not only played but also understood the building blocks of music. Now, I often sat as a quiet spectator, um, watching him play with my mother, sister, and I became his small but devoted audience. And dad was always eager to show me cool things, and this was not just limited to music. One of my earliest memories with him was when I tagged along to his office. My mother was away, so he took me to work, and that's where he introduced me to command prompt. I was too young to understand computers then, but something about typing a command and watching the machine throw out a response was very electrifying. And I was like, I had found a way to communicate with technology. Over the years, my trips to my dad's office gave me a front row seat to the evolution of computers. I witnessed Windows 3.1, Windows 95, and even played my first PC game, which is Dangerous Dave, back at his work. But things really changed in 1999 when my father invested a whopping 50,000 rupees to set up a personal computer at home for his side projects. That PC became a gateway to a new world for me, and it was password protected. The access to it was granted only as a reward for meeting certain goals to me. So whenever I earned my time on the computer, I made the most of it. I played Age of Empires, Prince of Persia, Civilization, but my dad made sure I wasn't just gaming, and he also exposed me to educational software as well. One of my favorite was the math-based puzzle game with an Egyptian theme to it. In it, there were mummies and gods inside a pyramid, which threw math problems at me, and I had to solve them within a limited period of time. Even after completing it, I kept replaying it, not for the math, but for the sake of animations. And I remember turning to my dad and asking, "How is this thing made?" Which is when he introduced me to Macromedia Flash File. It was the first time I saw how animations were created in 2D and how images could be manipulated through a technique called motion tweening to bring them to life. And not only could I animate it, but I could also add my sound to these creations. So that's when the big question hit me. How does music get made? And how does it go from an idea in someone's head to an actual song on a CD? And this changed everything. This tendency for me of me to look for meta insights changed everything for me. Let me introduce this friend. I would call him Sarthak for the sake of this discussion. Um, this is a friend whose elder brother had access to a world of content back in 99 and 2K to Western music, gaming, and tech magazines. And one of the most coveted ones was PC Quest, a magazine that was priced at rupees 100, and it came with CDs full of demos, games, and softwares back in 2000, 2001 itself. 100 rupees in 2000, 2001 is a lot of money. You could do a lot of stuff with it. Cut to 2001, grade 8 in New Delhi. My dad brought home some work-related magazines. Among them was a PC Quest as well. I opened it and it felt like finding buried treasure for me. The real gold, however, wasn't in the articles, it was the CD that came with it. Back then, we didn't have the internet at home, and a CD filled with all these content and digital tools was an invaluable resource for somebody who was discovering stuff. And what caught my attention of all the things published on the CD's front cover was an unassuming icon that looked like a strawberry, and beneath it was the name Fruity Loops. I had never ever tasted strawberries at that time, but the name intrigued me a lot. So I immediately installed it, and what loaded in front of me was what I would later know as a digital audio workstation. It was called Fruity Loops 3, and today it's known as FL Studio 24, one of the most powerful music production tools in the industry. But in 2001, I had no idea what I was looking at. All I knew was that it let me create beats, layer sounds, and experiment with loops. I was hooked. I spent hours exploring it, trying to figure out how sounds blended together, how rhythm was built, and how music is made. And little did I know that this moment would spark my lifelong fascination with music production. The PC Quest CD had more than just Fruity Loops in it. It also had a tool called Splash Page Creator, an early software that let users design interactive web pages. I played around with it, creating small websites with visual elements, and it fascinated me on how digital content could be built and structured. Seeing my interest, my dad later introduced me to Microsoft Front Page, which was Microsoft's primitive web design tool. One of its standard features was animated clip arts. It was a perfect blend of visual storytelling and interactivity for me. And looking back, I realized that everything I loved, music, design, animation, revolved around two things: sounds and visuals. And what is storytelling if not the perfect combination of the two? I didn't become a music producer and or a web developer, not immediately at least. Um, Life took me down a different path, but when I think about the joy of discovery, the passion I had as a child, I see that the signs were always there. Uh, as a takeaway from this speech, I would suggest that you can think about your own past. What were the things that lit you up as a child, and what were the things you did effortlessly before the world told you they weren't practical? Maybe like me, you left something behind, but maybe, just maybe, it's time to bring them back. Uh, Thank you so much for listening out to me today. Uh, I think I can conclude my speech.
Toastmaster Akshayan, thanks for giving such a wonderful speech.
Toastmaster Kumaravel. Toastmaster Kumaravel.
Voice is not audible.
Is it audible now?
Yeah, it's audible now.
So I would say it is an excellent speech. It had a defined purpose as per the expectation. Purpose, it had two different messages. I don't know how many of you got it. One is a direct message. It asked us to look back our life and see what are the activities that lit up happiness in our life. That was one objective. The indirect message that he had was how a parent can mold children's life, to a better life, right? So through various introducing or taking the child to various aspects of life, right? So that I felt that he delivered it clearly, right? Direct and indirect message, and the objective is very clear and clearly delivered it. That's the first point. The second point, his speech is more of a conversational nature. Somebody who listens to that's his speech will definitely understand that he's talking to you. It's not a public person. It's like he's directly talking to you, and you can nod your head and take the point. That was quite engaging. The third point, I think his usage of vocabularies and phrases, right? It is out of the world. I think it's a classic. So, like, little did I know, and very foundational stuff, and there are a lot of excellent vocabularies to use, so that he made sure that his speech is very natural. Okay, instead of packing with different kind of vocabularies, he chose vocabularies which are really conveying his messages. So three great things that I could find in his speech. And in terms of improvement, I can see uh, one thing, right? Stress and past could have helped the people connect. Okay, two things, right? Whenever there is a presentation, uh, when it is conversation, whoever pays attention will get the more information. But when it comes to speech, somebody gives with stress and pause, which drives the audience to all the audience to the speaker. Okay, so that is the power of past and stress, right? So that he could have included a lot in his speech, so that it becomes a presentation that more than the conventional style. Then about the ending, the second point, he could have ended with a strong note, maybe with a question, right? Dear Toastmaster, we all go back. We all, sorry, would you all like to go back and see what led to our happiness in the past? We can just put a question. Question is like spices we just sprinkle across our food to taste more, right? The similar to that, when you put a question to the audience, it will make them think and make them act. So those are the two things. I think it was excellent professional speech.